I am making my contribution to this year's sectoral debate with a tremendous sense of commitment and confidence. I feel this way for a number of reasons. I feel confident because for the 11th year running, my leader and Prime Minister and Chairman of Cabinet, Dr. the Most Honourable Andrew Holness, has invested his trust in me to elevate the contribution of local government to national development. I feel confident because of the unshakable love and loyalty of my family, who continue to love me unconditionally throughout all the highs and the lows of public life. I am sure, more than sure, pretty confident that I can go home to my family and enjoy the comfort of home. And I want to thank them for allowing me the opportunity to serve. I am confident, Madam Speaker, in the extended family of the people of West Kingston, who have nurtured and supported me from my tender age as a youth. You have trusted me to represent you as a councillor for over 34 years, Madam Speaker, and as Member of Parliament for the last 14 and a half years. I would like this Honourable House to record my gratitude, Madam Speaker, to the great constituency of West Kingston, Madam Speaker. To my permanent secretary and the wonderful team of the Ministry of Local Government, I want to thank them for their support over the many years. To my personal staff in the ministry, my close protection officer, and all the persons, Madam Speaker, who have allowed me to do the things that I'm doing. I want to thank them for their continued success, and I hope we will continue on this path as we build back Jamaica bigger, better, and stronger. Let me, Madam Speaker, express my great concern about some of the disdainful and distasteful and frankly arrogant attitude to your leadership that I have observed inside and outside this Parliament. It is all more concerning because one have not been able to point out in any credible way any failures on your part to execute the rules of the House, or any abuse of your authority. We on this side, Madam Speaker, and I'm sure there are other members, who have a proud tradition of, we on this side have a proud tradition of promoting talented and hard-working, nation-building women to office of great responsibility in public life. I go back to the late Honourable Jeanette Grant Woodham, who was the first President of the Senate appointed in 1984. I also can recall the appointment of the Honourable Marissa Dalrymple Filbert, who was elected twice to serve as Speaker of this House. However, we have a strong female leaning on leadership on this side. But on the other side, Madam Speaker, when I went to the Senate in 2002, the then President was Syringa Marshall Burnett. At that time, no political differences pointed to any level of disrespect. The same is true during the tenure of Violet Nielsen. I never had the opportunity. But let me say, Madam Speaker, there is no basis for the verbal attack that has been launched against you, Madam Speaker. I am calling for this to stop, Madam Speaker. We as legislators will sometime call for your protection. I believe that we should also protect you and your office from the unwarranted remarks. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I know that your heart is true and your resolve is strong. No weapon formed against you will prosper, Madam Speaker. Today I feel a tremendous sense of public commitment. For the second time in 10 years, Jamaica is experiencing life in uncharted waters. The first unprecedented experience was the global pandemic of COVID-19. The second experience, which we are still emerging from, is the iron category Hurricane Melissa. This administration led Jamaica into recovering strong from COVID-19. And we are fully confident that we will continue to have the support of the Jamaican people. We will achieve the current objective of national reconstruction, which is now underway. We recognize that Melissa has redefined the role of government and expectations of its citizens. According, Madam Speaker, my presentation will focus on the projects and programs that the Ministry of Local Government and Community Development is doing to facilitate and to speed up the expansion of the new Jamaica that is now under construction. I have also tabled today in this Honourable House the performance of the Ministry of Local Government, which is tabled, that members can see the success of the ministry over the last financial year. The Most Honourable Prime Minister has defined the period of restoration after Melissa as the reconstruction phase. In this context, the role of the ministries, agencies, and local authorities in the development approval process has taken on even greater value. Between January and September 2025, in the first 9 months before Melissa hit Jamaica, there was significant construction activities as well as an impressive number of building applications. Over 3,764 applications were submitted, representing an 11% increase in the number of applications received. Those applications were at a value of $46.1 billion, which is an increase in the investment value compared to the same period in 2024. Just as importantly, 81% of those applications were approved within the benchmark period of 90 days. And for the same period, the numbers of approval given was valued at $164.2 billion Jamaican dollars, Madam Speaker. Pre-Melissa figure not only demonstrate critical expansion of the built environment when compared to the development application and approval figures after Melissa. They stand as an important testament to the hard work of the local authorities and agencies, such as the Jamaica Fire Brigade, to push the country through a recovery phase into reconstruction phase. Despite the loss and damage to municipal buildings in at least 4 parishes, the approval rates were only marginally affected, with 78% of post-Hurricane Melissa application being approved in the 90 days timeline, Madam Speaker, which I think is tremendous based on the circumstances. Between January and March this year, 137 applications valued at $68.8 billion was submitted. This is highly encouraging and positive news. The records show that this number of applications exceed the total application received for all quarters dating back to April-June quarter of 2023. This level of activity shows that the people are working quickly to rebuild critically. Also, it has been shown, Madam Speaker, that more people are applying for building permits to ensure that structural integrity of their projects. The most significant increase of 11% was in building applications for small residential development under 300 square meters in size. This signals strong activity to rebuild houses, small businesses, factories. 71% of the applications were approved within 90 days, and the investment value of these approvals stand at $36.1 billion, Madam Speaker, local government at work. The continued pace of development approval process is critical to the success of the reconstruction phase. This process is also tied to the duties of the municipal corporation as the local building authorities to improve enforcement of building standards through the building code, which will be rolled out in this financial year. A critical feature of the new building code is that buildings are to be constructed to withstand Category 5 hurricanes. There will be stronger enforcement powers for municipal corporations, mandatory compliance checks and stricter penalties for illegal construction, especially in high-risk zones, Madam Speaker. In respect, Madam Speaker, the enforcement capacity of the local authorities will be strengthened as the Ministry of Finance has given approval for the established structure of the municipal corporation, which will facilitate the employment of more building officers to strengthen their ability to monitor and to ensure that there is compliance. I want to emphasize that the reconstruction phase is not designed to restore what has been lost. It is to replace infrastructure with vastly modern, climate-smart structures that can dramatically improve the lives of every citizen. However, there is also the question of the responsibility of the local authorities, and the fact that our national and local elected representatives, as well as the general public, must understand that this is not business as usual. And the practice where we build anywhere we feel, how we feel to build. Melissa have said to us that those days are over, and we must wake to the reality that we cannot and we should not continue to practice this level of building, because we will pay the price, and this government is not prepared to allow it to continue any longer. I'm therefore calling for practical and courageous and consensus amongst all concerns as we work towards changing living standards through the built environment. And I think this is a call that should be echoed by all Jamaicans to protect investment at any cost. The role of the National Solid Waste Management Authority in moving Jamaica from recovery to reconstruction phase has been essential. This agency was active on the ground immediately after the passage of the hurricane and was one of the first points of clearing towns, centers, roads, pathways, freeing marooned communities through the National Cleanup Program. I want to pay special tribute to the workers of the National Solid Waste Management Authority, whom had their homes damaged by the hurricane, who turn out nevertheless to provide service. And I want to thank the Ministry of Health and the leadership of the agency for providing counseling for those workers. In the rush to deal with the disaster, we sometimes forget the mental health impact on our frontline workers and the death of nearly 50 of our fellow Jamaicans in the 5 worst hit parishes. Madam Speaker, these workers, while they were there, many of their homes were destroyed, and we want to salute them, and we will continue to offer the counseling that they need to get them through difficult period. The hurricane deposited over 4.8 million tons of debris across the southwestern part of the island alone. That is approximately 480,000 truckloads of construction waste and household vegetation. 500 million was provided for the first phase of the National Cleanup Program. And within 2 months following the hurricane, by December 25, over 27,000 loads of debris was cleared. Another $1 billion was provided to finance phase 2 of the program, which ran from January to April of this year. Over 21,000 truckloads of debris was removed during this phase, amounting to a total of over 48,000 truckloads of waste removed. This intense program is still being implemented, Madam Speaker. And the 10 tipper trucks that the government purchased and put into service in December has been critical in clearing the debris in the 5 worst affected parishes by Melissa, and it has allowed the agency to use its regular fleet to do the regular job of garbage collection. So, Madam Speaker, the agency is working. They have learned lessons from Melissa and will put in place necessary steps to ensure that they can respond greater if and when we are confronted by a national disaster of the magnitude of Melissa. They continue to clear the backlog across the country this year. Additional work includes repairs to 80 trucks will be done to shorten the waste collection schedule. The island is divided into 4,275 collection districts, and the intention is to ensure that the regular waste collection is done every 7 to 10 days right across the country. This is in addition to specific projects to collect 8,000 tons of bulky waste. In all of this, I am making a special appeal to our citizens to practice what the National Solid Waste Management is saying in terms of educating Jamaica in their daily life. Jamaica's beauty is our duty. The agency is targeting to collect 1.2 million tons of waste this year. It will be far easier to achieve this goal if illegal dumping and the throwing of garbage into our streets and our gullies are significantly reduced. And let me say this, I heard a member last week speaking about increasing the fines and doing all that is necessary. Yes, that is good. But the country needs to have a social call on the state of how we are disposing of garbage. And I'm using this presentation today to ask us to put aside our political differences and let us unite and campaign in making Jamaica a cleaner and a better country. Because if you on that side eventually by 2040 become the government, 2040, you will still have the garbage problems. We need to unite on this one. And I call on members, not just in the political arena, but right across Jamaica, for this consciousness of mind, for us to deal with the question of littering. Last year alone, the agency served over 2,000 anti-litter tickets. Over 9,000 removals were issued. It's a problem that we have, and it's a problem that we must deal with. And that is why the NSWMA has a special education program in this financial year at a cost of over $200 million that will be used to sensitize the country as it relates to our garbage problems. And I am hoping that we will get the buy-in of every member of this House. Madam Speaker, one of the flagship of this government is our social protection program. I spoke earlier about the selfish service that our first respondent has provided through Melissa and after. To this category of special people, I must add the Board of Supervision, the matrons, the staff, the poor relief officers and the inspectors who manage our infirmaries and golden age homes across the country. They put their personal worries aside and focus on the vulnerable citizens. Whenever residents are relocated to shelters or in place that they have to be cared for, I can say proudly that those persons who work in our infirmaries and golden age home has done a great job in protecting those who are under their care. And I think the country should acknowledge and appreciate the work of our workers in the infirmaries and our golden age home. And it is fair to say that during the passage of Melissa, not one residence in our infirmary or golden age home sustained any injury during the passage of the hurricane. And I think that is something that we should be proud of. And during COVID-19, and I want to repeat it, none of our homes and infirmaries experienced any deaths during the COVID pandemic. And that is an outstanding achievement for a small country like Jamaica. So, Madam Speaker, we continue to put in the work within our infirmaries and to strengthen them and to make them a place that people will feel comfortable. We got approval to build 2 brand new infirmaries. The one in Trelawney was destroyed, and the one in St. Elizabeth is at a stage now where it is not possible based on the various issues. So we'll be building two infirmaries, two brand new infirmaries, one in Trelawney and one in St. Elizabeth, and then we'll be moving to build a third one in the parish of St. Anne. That is the temporary location that will be housing the Trelawney Infirmary until we have constructed the new infirmary. This is our government at work taking care of the poor and destitute. Madam Speaker, we have also provided financial support to undertake works at the St. Elizabeth, Hanover, and Westmoreland Infirmary at a cost of $54 million. And to this point in time, Madam Speaker, we are doing as best as we can to ensure that we provide a safe place for these persons in our infirmaries. We have done upgrade work on the wards at the St. Thomas Infirmary. A new matron quarters was built in Hanover. A state-of-the-art kitchen and dining area was constructed at the St. James Infirmary to enhance meal services. Those works were carried out at a combined cost of $44.9 million. And the St. Catherine Infirmary, we opened a brand new therapeutic park and other facilities was built to enhance the quality of life of the residents. And I want to announce that this year, a new wing will be built at the Spanish Town Infirmary at a cost of 70 million Jamaican dollars. Work on building out the network of concrete indigent housing was curtailed by the hurricane. This year, we are providing $160 million to continue to build houses of quality and class for the infirmary. Never before in the history of Jamaica have we seen indigent houses of the quality like what this administration has built. The issue of our social cases at our hospitals has been a long-standing one. And this year a special effort will be made to address it in partnership with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. $200 million will be spent to increase the capacity in our care facility to free up bed space for the people with medical needs. I now turn to the matter of the homeless, which has taken a new meaning in the context of Hurricane Melissa. The Board of Supervision, in partnership with the SDC, completed a national survey on homelessness. In the last quarter of 2025, the findings that was provided, 2,261 persons were found to be homeless. 52.5% of that number is located here in the corporate area. This is very sad, Madam Speaker. And let me say this. It is not Jamaica alone, and I want to give some figures to show with a global pattern of homelessness, especially in urban centers. Homelessness is rising in countries across the world, whether they are classified as developed, underdeveloped, or developing countries. UN Habitat Report of 2026 indicate that there are 318 million homeless people living across the globe. The World Population Review on Homelessness shows that it has grown significantly in Latin America and the Caribbean, affecting an estimated 8 million people. It has grown by 125% in North America, affecting 1.7 million people. More than 1.2 million people are homeless in Western Europe. Asia is estimated to have over 80 million homeless people on the African continent. It is estimated that there are about 54 million homeless people here in Jamaica, Madam Speaker. This administration continues to take measures to take care of our homeless citizens. Over the last decade, we have been building a growing number of drop-in shelters, night shelters, transitional shelters, to give the vulnerable Jamaicans security, space where they can shelter, where we provide nutritious food, medical care, and we also, Madam Speaker, in our shelters, provide employment for those who can work. And there are a number of persons who have been employed by the KSMAC, by the St. James Municipal Corporation. These are homeless people that we are taking care of. We're not only putting a roof over their head, but we are making them into worthwhile Jamaicans. Phase 2 of the Desmond McKenzie Transitional Center for the Homeless was completed in the last financial year. A total capacity of 80 homeless persons can now be accommodated at the new wing. The extension of the St. Thomas Night Shelter was completed at a cost of $12 million. The Member of Parliament was there. The Portland Drop-In Center Night Shelter was completed at a cost of $55 million. The new Member of Parliament, I guess, must have visited and see the work of the Andrew Holness administration. This year, the former mayor of Kingston and the longest serving female mayor in this region, Mary Atkins, will be spending $55 million to renovate the Mary Atkins shelter in downtown Kingston for the homeless population. As we build more infrastructure, our homeless population, Madam Speaker, will be protected. I appeal for a greater sense of compassion and civic concern. I am disturbed by the latest incident of violence against homeless people. The last major one was in St. Mary some 2 months ago when a homeless man was stabbed and had to be rushed to the Kingston Hospital. Let me say to my fellow Jamaicans, let us have compassion and care for these people. They are fellow Jamaicans just like all of us. This House will recall that last year I indicated that Cabinet approved His Excellency the Governor General would be asked to declare May 20th of each year a National Day of Remembrance for victims of the Evening Tide Home fire. It was a commitment I made to this House. And the first official service to mark that ugly event took place under 2 weeks ago at the National Heroes Park, where 26 coffins bearing the remains of 157 women who perished in the fire were interred. We preserve their memory. This incident was a stain on the pages of our modern history in this country. And we should never, again, the public conscience of this country should rise up and ensure that this never, ever happen again. I know, Madam Speaker, I don't want to get political, but when this government talk about protecting the interests of the poor and the destitute, we know what we are talking about. We have never hired dumper trucks and put street people in them and just dump them in mud lake. We have never done that. We provide facilities. We take care of these people. And we can stand proud. We can stand proud on our record of protecting the poor and the destitute in this country. Madam Speaker, the Jamaica Fire Brigade continue to reward the country, the citizens of Jamaica, for the investment that has been made, introducing cutting-edge projects to sharply improve service delivery. Vital agencies was also affected by Melissa. 6 fire stations was damaged. And I'm pleased to announce, and I see the Mayor of Montego Bay here, that the fire station in Ironshore will be rebuilt under the reconstruction of this government. So, we, Madam Speaker, in this administration, continue to work to improve the service of the Jamaica Fire Brigade. The estimated cost to build the infrastructure and to replace lost equipment is just over $1.4 billion. I am pleased to announce that while 311 firefighters were operating in 9 parishes that were directly affected by the hurricane, no lives were lost and none of our firefighters were injured. And we thank God for that. And they carried out their duty in a very efficient way. They responded to 1,661 calls between October 28 and December 12, 2025 that were linked to Hurricane Melissa. These included 615 fire calls, 116 medical emergency calls, 864 special service calls. The special service calls range from clearing block roads, rescuing our residents that are trapped in communities, delivering portable water, power washing muds and silt from town centers. Madam Speaker, our country is proud of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, and I want to thank the men and the women of the Jamaica Fire Brigade for the hard work that they have been doing and will continue to do to help to rebuild back Jamaica bigger, better, and stronger, Madam Speaker. In addition to the rehabilitation of stations and the completion of current projects, the works are far advanced to ensure that every fire station can give 24-hour service by the use of generators. 95% of our island fire stations now have generators, and we have acquired 4 more in the last financial year at a cost of $33 million, and 2 more will be installed this year, Madam Speaker. So by the end of the current financial year, all fire stations in Jamaica will be equipped. It is happening for the first time under this administration. When we came in 2016, none of our fire stations had any generator. It is this administration that has done it. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. There's also additional, there's also additional firefighters to operate fire stations. I have the pleasure, Madam Speaker, of participating last month in the graduation exercise of another 100 trainees in the 3rd quarter of this financial year. The brigade will enhance its role in the National Reconstruction phase as a major factor in the development approval process. It is working in regulating the built environment and to essentially ensure that this country will have the full service to respond to disaster such as hurricane and earthquake. Last year, the brigade inspected 11,228 buildings to ensure compliance with fire safety codes and standards. The inspection process will be one of unprecedented importance. And the reason why I say that, it is a vital component of the duties of the local authorities. They work closely with the Jamaica Fire Brigade to ensure that the Building Act as well as the Building Code are obeyed. The brigade work in the approval process includes comprehensive assessment of building plans, and the agency have reviewed over 916 plans last year. The brigade is now at a prominent part of the government's creation of a new Jamaica, where we can rely on them to ensure that the built environment, that the public becomes a part of what we are doing. The public infrastructure, and I want to say also the private infrastructure, even before the start of construction. Because we are building, I know, we are building more buildings. I want to remind the country that the input of the Jamaica Fire Brigade in the building approval process is something that we cannot bypass. Their input is important, and I want the country to be aware of that. Okay? Look, I will address you shortly. So, Madam Speaker, I don't want to be thrown off time. So, Madam Speaker, I want to say that the role of the Jamaica Fire Brigade is critical. And we are a part of the reconstruction of Jamaica, has been announced by the Most Honourable Prime Minister to rebuild the country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Social Development Commission continues to show great achievement. And I must say that this was one public body, one agency that never get a cent from government before. This administration was the first administration in 2016 to provide funding to the Social Development Commission to undertake its responsibility right across the country. 0%, 0 in the budget. 0 in the budget. 0 in the budget. 0 in the budget. Today, the agency has been transformed into a national organization, well-programmed. The comprehensive research and expertise of the agency was critical in helping local and central government to make rapid, evidence-based decisions in the support of the National Reconstruction. These include a national drainage assessment survey, temporary accommodation, in which damage assessments were done and potential sites were identified for erecting temporary accommodation. The agency conducted shelter transitional survey on children and others. In keeping with the ministry's effort to reduce the number of schools used as shelters, the SDC has completed a community center shelter review survey to ascertain the existing shelters across the country. They are also responsible in undertaking a market survey. One of the critical things that the SDC did, they conducted a comprehensive survey of the public perception on the One Road Authority. On the One Road Authority. It is interesting to note that the survey that was conducted on the One Road Authority showed that over 75% of Jamaicans, when they ask which road you want to be fixed, they want major roads and parochial roads to be fixed. 59% of Jamaicans agree with the One Road Authority. 59% of Jamaicans. I'm going to give you a copy of the survey. So, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, the One Road Authority will help to lift the standard. All mayors, every single mayor in Jamaica, was invited to a meeting at the Ministry of Local Government with the minister, my colleague minister. Over 4 hours, presentations were made. All of the mayors asked questions, one meeting. Yes. All the mayors were present. And let me say,
Minister McKenzie, though you have not asked for my protection, let me caution you, using your valuable time to answer the questions from the floor, reduces your time for presentation. No. I'm giving him that time back. I love that part of the presentation. So I thank him for assisting with my opening statement. So, Minister, yes, you may take a water break and then we will recommence.
Water break.
thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to now move to another important aspect of the SDC's work, Madam Speaker. The SDC, Madam Speaker, has been placed in a position where the security of the workers are no guaranteed. The SDC, Madam Speaker, for decades was operating with peer contract workers. So there was no security for the workers. I am pleased to announce that under this administration, the SDC has now been given a proper structure where the job security of the workers are now secured. We are putting the SDC on a level to continue the work that it is doing through the programs to provide support in the entrepreneurial programs, providing grants, building out communities, expanding programs, and community centers included. And I know that there are members on that side, if they wish to speak the truth, can speak glowingly about the work that the SDC has been doing in their constituency. Right? So, Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize that we have strengthened the SDC and we have made it into an organization that Jamaica is proud of, and we want to support them to continue the work that they have been doing. Madam Speaker, I want now to turn to one aspect of the work that the SDC undertook, and that was the church restoration program. And I am very happy that we were able to commence the first phase in St. Elizabeth, and I'll be in Hanover on Friday for the second phase of the church restoration program. I want to conclude this presentation, Madam Speaker, The administration, no, Westmoreland is down. Westmoreland is down. The administration responding to the climatic crisis of Melissa by the reconstruction of Jamaica into a different and a far better country. That is what is before us today. The process will be strongly speed up as the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority Act. We will be building back better and stronger. Madam Speaker, the local authorities have no fear about the bill that has been tabled, Madam Speaker. We are an integral part of it. We will play a critical role, Madam Speaker, in the reconstruction. I want to say to the mayors who I did not acknowledge earlier on, that your role will not be undermined in the reconstruction. So anybody telling you anything else, and misshave them and make, everybody will be a critical player in the reconstruction of Jamaica, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, our markets will be built back. The center of commerce, Madam Speaker. Last year, I spoke about the Alexandria market. Work is now on its way to rebuild the Alexandria market at a cost of $50 million. Work is on its way, Madam Speaker. We've spent $70 million in refurbishing the Yallas market, the Charles Garden market in St. James, the Savlabar market in Westmoreland, the Musgrave market, and the Highgate market and the Black River market to be given priority under the program of rebuilding, Madam Speaker. The government is living up to its commitment. Yes, 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 yes. On the question of the streetlights, I want to indicate the special program that I announced last year was set back by the passage of Melissa. I have been given the assurance by the Jamaica Public Service Company that as soon as they have completed the restoration, they will start the installation over the next 2 financial years of the street lights that was committed last year. Right. Yeah, new and improved lights. I also want to mention, Madam Speaker, to publicly thank our shelter managers and disaster coordinators who worked so hard during Melissa. I want to express the gratitude to those persons who use our shelters. Firstly, for heeding the call and move to the safety. And for secondly, for the patience and cooperation that was the general atmosphere at all of our shelters, Madam Speaker. I know it was a stressful time. I also want to give a brief update on the accommodation being built in Shrewsbury in Westmoreland. 10 of the 16 concrete bases have been completed. Those bases are required for the completion of the houses. All the necessary things is being done to facilitate. As soon as it is completed, the houses are in the care of the Minister with responsibility for housing and economic growth and the Jamaica Defence Force. As soon as that is completed, Madam Speaker, those houses will be moved to the location, and all the persons who have been registered, who we know will occupy the new housing facilities that is provided by the government, Madam Speaker. This, Madam Speaker, will tell you that we are working diligently to ensure that we do everything that is necessary. The shelters, Madam Speaker, we are working closely with the municipal corporations and the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management. An additional $60 million will be set aside to the local authorities to assist in obtaining blankets and cots and other bedding materials to make life more comfortable in our shelters. This is the first allocation that will be made as we get ready for the hurricane season that is here with us. In addition to this, we are taking a different approach to shelter management. Instead of using multiple venues, we are looking, and based on the discussion, to build shelters in at least 3 parishes that can accommodate a large number of Jamaicans. In Westmoreland, purpose-based shelters that can be used for community facilities, netball, basketball, town hall meetings. And when the time comes, we move persons to these facilities. We're looking at the parishes of Westmoreland, Clarendon, St. Anne, and we're looking also at St. Thomas to roll out, at least in the first phase of these, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, we are moving. One of the things, again, that we are going to be doing based on the Prime Minister's directive, that we must become proactive. Programs that will educate persons around the dangers, drilling exercise, and to do proper assessment. We are going to be employing 200 young Jamaicans that will be deployed to the SDC and the municipal corporation starting the 1st of July. They will work for the entire hurricane season. They will be deployed to work with disaster coordinators across the municipality in strengthening the disaster response capabilities. And I hope, Madam Speaker, that this will go a far way. So 200 young Jamaicans will benefit from this over the next 6 months, working in the areas of disaster. So the chairman of the National Disaster Risk Management Council spoke about the various things that needs to be done. And the government is fast-tracking these operations. Yesterday, I launched Operation Calm in St. Elizabeth, National Solid Waste Management Authority, to remove bulky waste from various communities. 5 parishes will benefit from Calm. 96 communities. Okay? Calm. C means clearing flood-prone areas of bulky waste. A, it's for advising the residents in these areas about their roles and responsibilities in managing waste during the hurricane season. L, leveraging the network of community leaders in flood-prone communities. And M, maintaining a presence in these communities during the hurricane season. It was launched yesterday. This is a good program. And already the people in Rocky Point supported this program tremendously. And we're moving to the parishes of Clarendon, Kingston, St. Andrews, St. James, and St. Elizabeth with the next phase of this program. We are combining government action to promote civic responsibility, community goodwill, to ensure that the people in these communities who can face hurricane season with a level of confidence instead of fear and uncertainty. We are also will be implementing a special drain cleaning program. Madam Speaker, $70 million will be provided to the municipal corporation, $300,000 to each division for drain cleaning. In addition, Madam Speaker, in addition to the 2 months PRF allocation that they have that is dedicated for drain cleaning. Okay? 2 months allocation for drain cleaning. And this is in the first phase of the drain cleaning exercise, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we also will be rolling out another additional program, road program, to supplement the monthly, no, they have no name, it's a program. the monthly PRF. The monthly PRF that the MCs get. And let me say this. Every month, the municipal corporation, every month, close to 700 million is provided to the municipal corporation for road maintenance. Every month, over 700 million. This $350 million that will be provided, Madam Speaker, will supplement the work, because we know after the hurricane, a lot of damage has been done, and this $350 million will be provided to assist for road patching and road maintenance right across the country, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the question of water is a major problem. As we continue to manage the hurricane, the Ministry of Water and the Ministry of Local Government, we had a meeting last week at the Ministry to discuss the question of water. Shortly, we will be announcing a comprehensive water program involving the Ministry of Water and Local Government. But in the meantime, Madam Speaker, the drought is upon us, and we are going to be providing $65 million to assist St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and Portland to purchase 3 brand new water trucks to take us through this critical period. Local government is not only contributing to the National Reconstruction through infrastructure, it is also doing it by historically new standards of service delivery. And Madam Speaker, I need to speak to this one because the country needs to know this one. The Jamaica Fire Brigade, Madam Speaker, will officially launch the emergency communication-based system in Waterford in St. Catherine. 24 firefighters were specially trained and graduated as emergency telecom operators in February of this year. The key feature of this is the system will alert and transmit emergency notification instantly. Madam Speaker, if you make a call within 64 seconds, that information will be transmitted instantly to the relevant fire stations, and the firefighters will be there in 60 seconds. This is a new initiative, Madam Speaker, and I am urging the country for that. So I can take my time. Okay. This groundbreaking project is being implemented in all phases, at all fire stations across Kingston and St. Andrew. Part 1 of the program is now active. These are the most parishes that poses problems in terms of emergency calls and are highly populated communities, Madam Speaker. The Jamaica Fire Brigade has entered a new era of professionalism, technology. The readiness is to transform the Fire Brigade into an organization that is contributing to the build back of Jamaica by this administration led by Dr. Andrew Holness, Prime Minister. So finally, Madam Speaker, as I close, I want to conclude the presentation, Madam Speaker, with a reflection of the book of Nehemiah. It tells the story of the rebuilding of Jerusalem wall. And I believe that this mirrors our experience here. As we rebuild Jamaica, Nehemiah chapter 1 through 4 is about the destruction of the walls surrounding Jerusalem, which is like the destruction of Melissa, with the people left exposed. Then Nehemiah led the work of inspiring the people to help to rebuild the wall. A huge project. Just as our Prime Minister continues to secure goodwill to rebuild Jamaica. Then when you read further into Nehemiah chapter 2, verse 9, it tells you about the people who try to undermine and to prevent the reconstruction work from starting. Chapter 3 and 4 reveal how construction was organized. And I think about the National Resilience Authority. When you get to chapter 6, it says, a new wall of Jerusalem was built in 52 days. A historic achievement at the time. The book of Nehemiah is my biblical inspiration for what we are working to achieve. Reconstruction of Jamaica in record time that will benefit all the citizens and the wonder of the world for years to come. The administration, therefore, viewed the destruction of Melissa as a call to action. It is a call to reconstruct, not just to replace, a call to transform. This is not just to restore, Madam Speaker. We are heeding the call. The vision for the grand design has been laid out by our national builder, the Most Honourable Prime Minister. We continue to experience sincere goodwill and to receive practical assistance from countless partners here and overseas. Despite our challenges, we remain a blessed country. And I know that the Almighty will bless our efforts. Amen. And the praises of this administration will sing in the hearts of the minds of Jamaicans for decades. History will record this administration as the administration that has done the job. I thank you, Madam Speaker.